every time I watch the Sunday morning news, every Sunday, I know I'm going to be trying to pull hairs out that I don't have. Today, Jake Tapper had the Surgeon General from Florida, Joseph Ladapo, on. And as you know, the Surgeon General from Florida decided to not make vaccinations a mandate anymore. So laissez-faire reigns. And the excuses that he gives, well, I tell you what, let's listen to the excuse that he gave Jake Tapper as to why it was the right thing he believed to do. Check it out. We'll take it on the other side.
It's really about ethics. I mean, is it appropriate for a government to, or any other entity, to dictate to you what you should put in your body? No, it's absolutely not appropriate. You have sovereignty over your body. I mean, that's where it starts. And you should be able to decide what you put in your body. And if you can't decide what you put in your body, I mean, you know, what do you actually, you know, what can you decide? So it really is an issue that is in that domain.
Now, let's be clear. That statement that he made was asinine. First of all, from a public policy standpoint, the reason why in public places where we're going to have an aggregation of children, of people in one confined space, the reason why you have vaccinations are twofold. One, so that these people don't get the sickness or the disease, or they don't get a fatal form of the disease. But also, we want community immunity. We want herd immunity, so that for people who simply cannot take vaccines, they can be in an environment that is fairly safe, even as the very few don't have to take that vaccine. So there's a public policy reason. What Ladapo is saying is that, look, individualism, rugged individualism is what's important. If you want your kid to have a vaccine, fine. If I don't, fine. And the government should have no role in saying you must have it. But the government has a role in educating your children. So in effect, he's saying the government has a role in potentially getting your children sick when they go into confined public spaces. But there are other things, because he said it's not the government right to tell people what to put into their bodies. Jake Tapper should have immediately said, why then does Republican want to control marijuana? It doesn't affect anybody but the person who's taking it. Shouldn't that person have the choice if they want to use marijuana themselves? Why didn't he say, why, if that person want to ingest cocaine, can't they, as long as they're not impacting the life of others? It's their body. They should have control over their bodies. Why can't women have mifepristone for controlling their own bodies as well? Why? There were so many places where Tapper should have expanded the discussion. He did a great thing when he said, did you make studies to see what the impact of your ruling would be? And he did ask that question. And what Ladapo did was diffuse it. And Jake Tapper again didn't come back. He should have said, well, since you didn't, the study would have said that infections would have increased, and you are saying it is okay for infections to increase for personal responsibility, for people's own choices. But the public debate at that point should become, well, hospitals need to know that the study shows that they will have a larger influx of people come into that hospitals, which will increase all the costs of the hospital, which would increase all the costs of everybody's insurance, and also increase the cost to the government, which then reflects itself back as higher taxes, something that Republicans always rail against. There were so many places to engineer the narrative into the appropriate form that Jake Tapper failed. So by missing those opportunities, what he did was allow plausibility and a defense for what that inept Surgeon General did. And this is what we find throughout mainstream media, a poor, a lousy pushback when these horrendous people who know nothing about policies or do not create policies commensurate with reality, when they do that, they allow plausibility and they allow certain Americans to look at it and say, okay, I guess it's 5 of one, 6 of one, and half dozen of another. We have to have better mainstream media, better questioning. But again, like I've always said, that's what we're here for.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.